Tonight on the Goblin's Corner.
Bullywugs and Lizardmen.
Excellent.
That's how we roll. 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 That's how we roll.
Welcome to the Goblin's Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
We're doing Bullywugs and Lizardmen.
that's right. We talked last episode about swamp stuff.
Yep, all sorts of swamp stuff.
Yeah, like how to run a swamp-based adventure, how all the good,
Themes
and creatures and all that other various such things that you could do for your game. And now we're going to throw some monsters that we feel are not given enough love.
True.
So, Bullywugs and Lizardmen, delightful frog and lizard people of all stripes and textures.
Sure. They are lizard folk now.
Ah, that's true. Yes,
They finally fixed that.
That's good. Good for them. And I appreciate that as well. So, we'll learn a little bit more about lizard folk and what makes a bullywug. But before we get to all of that,
We've got to do the question of the week.
that's right. So, what do we got?
We are going off topic today
Okay.
because I honestly couldn't think of a very good bullywug lizard folk question.
Well, there's not a lot about them, which we'll get to.
So what I'm going to do instead is, what is your favorite beginning of a campaign that you have run?
Boy, asking of the deep questions now. Let's see. I would say the beginning of the pirate campaign, because that was started with Valentine the Bard, who
Yeah.
gave you guys a mission, and you just started off on a boat.
Yeah, it started so simply. so simply.
Just go to this island and find something.
Yeah, just grab this thing. It'll
Just
be
grab
no
this
problem.
thing, and it ended up being, a whole War with the Shadowvar,
Yes.
basically in what, 2 episodes?
Yep.
Yeah. That was
Well,
great.
yeah, very shortly. And because they came and threatened us, and then we murdered their messenger,
Yeah,
and then it kind of devolved from there.
They were kind of pricks.
They
I
were.
mean, yeah, that's how it works. What about you?
I have to say probably the original F you, I'm going to Toro game.
Ah, yes. For those of you who are unaware, we used to run a game called You, I'm Going to Toril.
Right.
And what that meant was we played ourselves.
Yes.
Now, sometimes we would give each other stats when we were playing second ed, if
That
you
was
remember
the
that.
original one. Yeah.
And then we increased it to 3rd edition, and at one point we had the rest of the players give you your stats
Yes.
with what they thought you had, and then at some point we just feel like, this is kind of BS. Let's just give ourselves a standard array,
Right.
and we just made our stat.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you had
in the last game I ran for it, basically the plan was you are being remade as
Mhm.
you go through.
correct.
So you got to choose a new race and everything.
Yeah, your class and all that stuff. And if you recall, the last time I ran that, everybody started as a factotum,
Yes.
which is a little bit of everything, which was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that as well.
So the thing I loved about the beginning of that is we all got together to play.
Yep.
And I started running the game before you guys realized that the game was running, which is everybody got there and they're hanging out and they're like, hey, what are we playing? What's going on? And I was just like, okay, so everything is exactly as you see it, except I'm not here. And everybody's like, wait, what? I was like, oh, yeah, the game has started. So here you go.
You've got 5 minutes. Find anything you can because you're going through a portal.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that.
You got a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot cube that's coming with you.
Have you gone through a portal? Or maybe you've just started your own game and you really enjoyed it. Write to us. info@goblinscorner.com, or you can reach me, eric@goblinscorner.com, or...
Me, Matt at goblinscorner.com.
And of course, you can find us on all the things,
So many things.
including,
Twitter.
because we talk all the time on Twitter, and other things at some point too.
Sure.
All right, so let's get into the meat of this episode, Bullywugs and Lizardmen, or lizard folk.
I know you didn't mean to, but you said let's get into the meat. You started with bullywugs.
Delicious frog
Yep,
legs.
that
Yeah,
was-
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength here.
Okay.
So let's talk about bullywugs first, because I find these especially interesting. Mostly because we couldn't find anything about them.
Yeah, these are one of the few creatures in D&D or fantasy in general where there's not a lot of mythological basis for it.
Yeah. So first off, what's a bullywug?
It is a primitive race of frog-like humanoids found throughout bogs and marshes of various worlds. A primitive is actually not super accurate. That's the description they give, but then they go on to provide not very primitive explanations for them.
Yeah. So spoilers, this was made in like the 60s or 70s. So,
Yeah.
you know, the concept was the descent into barbarism and, you know, the savage creatures and so forth. And so they considered primitive civilizations to be basically anything not your humans or elves or dwarves or whatnot in D&D. So that's kind of what we're working with here. Now, they were originally conceived by Gygax, right? And his son, Luke. And in, I believe the first appearance was like in the Fiend Folio or something like that.
I believe that's correct.
And they were frogs, right?
Yeah.
Just straight up frogs out of the swamp. Welcome to the swamp. Now we got legs.
Yeah.
Big legs I can walk around and spear to stab you with. Now, we went to look up, because most monsters from games are based off of some sort of mythological creature.
Right. Somewhere down the line.
Now, I'm not saying there isn't a frog creature in mythology, but our cursory 10-minute glance at Wikipedia couldn't find anything at all.
There was mentioned that there may be something in Mesopotamian mythology, but when I went looking
all there is
through Mesopotamian mythology,
it's just that they might be giant song and that's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, there are amphibious and frog-like creatures in myth. A lot of like deities sometimes have like fish heads or fish tails or whatever, and stuff like that. But not just straight up just intelligent frogs rolling around.
Yeah, not frogmen. Now frogs, in and of themselves, just little critters. They're all through mythology and fairy tales and stuff like that. But frogmen seem to be a rarity.
So Gygax borrowed from more contemporary sources, Lovecraft, and amongst others, I'm sure, and came up with the bullywug.
Not the squeamish fellows.
No.
Okay.
So, bully. Tell me about the bully. And there's a reason why they're called bullywugs. And it really comes down to their names because they're pricks. I mean, they're assholes. They're asshole frogs.
Well, they are the self-proclaimed lords of the swamp. They're rude. They're mean-spirited. They exemplify the first part of the name. Bully.
Yeah, bully. They're bullies of the swamp.
Yeah.
They're often called savage. Again, consider the time period when this was first written. Self-destructive, which I find interesting.
Yes.
And they regularly tamper with forces beyond their understanding. So a bullywug would very often find a genie lamp, start screwing stuff up.
Sure.
Or, oh, look, there's the rod of 7 parts. I found 2 out of, 7 parts. I'm going to put this together and see what kind of havoc I can wreak. Or,
yeah, but it's part 1 and 4. Doesn't matter. I'm going to get it to stick together.
Jam it together with some spit and duct tape, and it's going to work.
Or something.
Yeah. I mean,
something's going to happen.
Lots of sticky things in the swamp you can get stuff jammed together with. They threaten the safety of others and their own. They are often called brutish, noisome, and wet.
But I mean,
I'm reading off of what I wrote down, and I still don't get it, but it's fine. Yeah, so they're mean-spirited frog-like creatures.
There are other additions that have perhaps given them a little more depth.
Well, yeah. So we've had 40 or so, 50 years to flesh the bullywug out. What have we gotten with later editions with the bullywug?
They're mean-spirited and barely intelligent.
So it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Different sizes. Maybe more descriptions, right? Different colors. Yeah. No. Oh no, because we got Gripplies instead.
No, remember they got rid of Gripplies also.
Grugs. I'm sorry.
We've got Grungs now.
We have Grungs now,
which aren't Gripply.
Which aren't Gripply at all.
Should have been.
And then we have.
I'm gonna.
Is that it? Are there no other frog creatures aside from delightful Mr. Giant Toad?
No.
All right. So Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now,
I mean, there are devil toads.
Okay.
Those technically exist.
That still is a giant Mr. Toad to me.
Whether it's a devilish giant
whether
Mr.
it's
Toad.
fire, ice, acid, giant toads are happening, bro.
I'm aware of your stance, sir.
I love Mr. Toad. Do you like Mr. Toad? Let me know. Up to 10% of bullywugs are divine casters. Now, this was something I found interesting. Favoring predominantly inflict or summoning spells.
Of course.
Of course they are, because they're bullies.
Yes.
I want to summon something to beat you up, or I want to hurt you.
Yeah.
So basically, as I mentioned before, they're assholes.
Yeah. They don't believe in fair fights, and because of that, their divine casters just summon more critters to fight with. We don't use tactics, we just use more.
Which asshole frogs.
More.
That's all they are. They're just asshole frogs.
Yeah.
And from what it sounds like, they haven't really changed much in any edition. So they got that going for them. They're steadfast. Steadfast in their being assholes.
Yes.
All right.
Now, one of the stories that I love.
This is good.
In one of the editions, and occasionally in this edition, I believe it's hinted at as well. There are stories that point to bullywugs being at war with another frog-like race. They think they're winning, but they lost a long, long time ago, but were too stupid to realize it. And now basically they are the buffer for the other species to outside worlds.
That's awesome.
Because the other species was much smarter.
So there's some other sort of amphibious species that is potentially hiding in the marsh. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like that. So what are bullywugs good for?
I mean, henchmen.
Yeah.
Cultists.
Oh, totally cultists. You sum up a demon with a bullywug tribe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make great assailants for any watery area or dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, they're fun to kill because people hate them because they're stupid bullies.
Yeah. They're mean.
Yeah.
They'll probably call you names while they attack you. They don't fight fair, and they're assholes.
Yeah, they're the stereotypical 1980s movie jock.
Yeah. I could see them wearing ascots and, or a varsity jacket.
Yes.
Yeah, they would totally wear the varsity jacket. So tell me a little bit about these frogs.
Okay, so primarily they've got frog-like stats. I know that sounds crazy.
So
but
let me guess, amphibious.
They are, in fact. They can breathe water and air.
Shocking. Wait, they can breathe water and air?
Yes.
So that's not that's D&D amphibious.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So.
Yes. They're not, yes.
Yeah, you guys figure that out.
Sure.
I don't know how that works.
They are capable of mighty leaps.
Very frog-like in nature as well. They can leap very tall.
Yes. It used to include a leap attack, but it no longer does unless you choose for it to. You should choose for it.
Yeah. Have them come down with a spear.
Yep.
Stab you in the head.
Yeah, the Dragoon attack, man.
Oh, God. We need a Dragoon class. That's what we need. Maybe we have it with this.
It could be.
Another way to upgrade your bullywug, guys. Yeah, that's what's up. They're fast swimmers.
Sure.
Because they're frogs.
Right. They're camouflaged.
Mm-hmm. Earlier editions, they could foil infravision, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
I would say you could probably foil dark vision at this point if you want to keep that stat, or not.
Right.
You just toss it.
And some editions, they used to be able to belch poisonous gas.
Again, asshole frogs. Yeah, absolutely. We talked a little bit about them favoring ambush tactics and being unfair in their fight. Is there anything else that is similar in nature to that?
They used to be able to talk to frogs because they had very large or very loud frog-like voices.
Mm-hmm.
They're described as noisy, right?
Right. Noisome frogs, yeah.
Yeah, they used to use the frogs in the swamp as basically a security system.
And probably guard dogs. Or guard frogs, more likely.
Sure. For the larger frogs. But, I mean, imagine, you know how loud a little tree frog is?
I had a frog pond outside my house, man.
I know.
Years.
That's why I said.
And they'd set off the car alarm. Tiny little peeper frogs, like this big. And they'd like, what the hell is that? Oh, it's a tiny little frog. That's this big. My car is going whoop, whoop. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So imagine a giant one.
Sure.
That can swing an axe. Bud.
Oh Lord. One of the tactics they love to use is they love nets and snares, right? Just get rid of people's mobility so that you can club them when they're sitting still.
So you're a party of adventurers wandering through the swamp like you do.
Sure.
And you're stuck in the mud. You're squelching.
You're already angry.
That the paladin's pissed off because he's stuck in the bog because he wore his full plate.
I mean, sure he did.
Because
of course he did.
Of course he did. The horse has already been eaten because it's been 3 weeks. Yeah, when it was and horse is delicious supposedly, and all of a sudden out of the bog comes this squelching bellow, and riding giant Mr. Toad, because they would.
Sure.
It's this tribe of bullywugs with nets and pokey objects that just up your day.
Yes. And if you turn to run, there's summoned creatures behind you.
Of course they have. And you can't run. We turn around to run. You can't run. You're squelching in the mud.
I said
the paladins already got 5 of them on them. They're finding kinks in his armor. The wizard's already fled because the wizard would.
No, the wizard would
teleport away.
Invis, cast fly, and then fireball from above.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how those nets working out for you, guy?
Rogue's already dug a hole. covered himself in mud like Commando. Or not Commando, like Predator.
Predator.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I knew exactly where you were going. The second you even put your hands to your chest, I was like, yep.
And the warlock's looking for a different patron. That's how it works, guys.
The warlock is using Thunderstep.
Ah, good point. That's good for that.
Blow them up and dip in the same round.
So these are the bullywugs. Now, they're not great for skilled combat, but...
Nope. And the second the numbers turn against them...
They're going to flee.
They leave.
Right back into the pond. And what are you going to do? You can't go into the drink. You got a full thing of armor on. Can you breathe underwater? You're not that level yet? Oh, too bad. Sucks to be you. Wait till you take that long rest, and they come back out and start messing with you again.
That's why one of you should have made an air genasi.
That's right. Yeah.
But you didn't.
But you didn't.
Or
you know
water
why?
genasi.
Yeah, that's what you get for min-maxing players. You know you did. So basically, these guys are a bunch of pricks.
Yeah.
And that's everything you need to know about bullywugs. All right. Let's talk about our other cold-blooded creatures, the lizard folk.
Yes, indeed. So another primitive, right? Go ahead and throw their description, not mine.
Yeah.
They are commonly known as lizard folk. They are, oddly enough, reptilian humanoids that lurk in swamps and jungles.
Of course they are.
They're fiercely territorial. They are survivalists.
This is a spin that I like a lot more than just having a bunch of mean-spirited frogs. At least the concept of the ultimate survivalist is good.
Yeah.
Like you can work with that. You can spin that into different directions. And what you'll talk about in a second, you will find writers have.
Yeah.
So they're no longer as ook, sling spear at you. Now it's, we have an entire culture.
Yes. And you can actually deal with them.
Yeah.
They're not,
you can talk to them.
Yeah.
They're not going to stab you in the back. Well, they might, but only if they're hungry.
Right.
You got to eat, man.
Yeah. If we're playing the game of you or me, then
sometimes lizard folk got to eat.
What is it? The dreadful algebra of survival?
Yeah.
That was Pratchett, I think. But yeah, they are another creature that's been around from nearly day one.
Greyhawk.
Yeah.
In fact. And they're in the Fiend Folio. There's some Warhammer references as well.
Yep. They're from like every mythology, from Mesopotamia to modern TVs.
Yeah,
what,
politicians, yeah. Or you're going to V? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking modern politicians are rip off their face, show the world who they truly are.
I mean, cold-blooded survivalists.
It's kind of, you don't want to be stuck.
Fair.
You don't want to turn your back on them. They might eat you.
That's true.
Could happen.
All right. So let's start with some more description for them.
Okay. So simple folk.
Yes.
And this doesn't mean simple as in dumb, but
right.
just simple as in more back to nature, naturalized.
In some settings, they used to have a huge empire that they let go.
Yeah.
It's just in decline. They just walked away from it for various reasons.
Or they were the survivors of a gigantic civilization that lasted for millennia.
Yes.
So in the case of the Forgotten Realms, for example, they were an offshoot of the Saruk.
Right. For those of you who don't know what the Saruk are, they are the reptilian progenitor race.
Let's talk a little bit about their personality. You mentioned they are the ultimate survivalists. What do we mean by that?
Well, they don't operate like warm-blooded people do, right? They have a more alien mentality. They're logical, they're methodical, and they're what most people would consider savage in their methodologies. It's not savagery. It's just a lack of letting their emotions dictate things.
Amoral.
Right.
It's not even amorality because it's cold logic.
Yeah, it's not a matter of whether or not this is immoral. It's a matter of whether or not this is something that needs doing.
Yeah. Which comes off as
very harsh and
yeah. So they'll often eat intelligent creatures, but it's not necessarily that it's malicious in intent. They're not going to eat you because they hate you. Now they might.
Yeah.
Just because they have alignment, just like other creatures as well.
Sure.
But most likely it's because they're hungry and you're available and you're not serving any.
You're no longer using the meat anymore.
You're not particularly useful anyway. I mean, that's what you get for, playing a multi-class ranger, bard, druid, hybrid.
I could do it.
You could make that work. I'm sure someone else could make that work.
It used to be called the Foklucan lyricist. But
that's right.
Neither here nor there.
Good callback, man. I like that. That's callback from 3rd edition, guys. Yeah, very good. So they're big on this, not necessarily, whereas the Bullywugs are brutish.
Right.
Now we're going more of an intelligence, but a methodical intelligence. And still on that same tribal aspect too, right? So they're both nature societies.
Yeah.
One is a much more malicious society. This was more of a utilitarian, I guess is the best way.
Yeah. They are ultimate utilitarians. If it's useful, then we use it. They're really big on a tribalistic sort of vibe, and it's more of a tribalism vibe than actual tribalism. They are hunter gatherers.
So they can hunt.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a big deal. Putting food on the plate.
Right. They fear magic, and in some case, it is a divine sort of fear. It's the fear that is a worshipful fear.
Gotcha.
Versus a just phobia. It's not a phobia. It is a reverent fear.
They're in awe of magic.
Right.
It is powerful. It is a force of nature.
Yes.
And by the way, guys, we're just coming up with generalities. We'll get to like customizing your Bullywug and lizard folk. You can pretty much take this or leave it. So this is not the voice of, the Almighty coming down and saying, this is how you play this stuff. This is just what we've read up on.
Right. This is both modern and original information on the creatures.
Sure. And some of them worship dragons at one point too.
Yes, indeed. They were in the same kobold vein.
Yep. So originally, again, lizardmen, bullywugs, good to throw at your characters. You didn't feel bad for killing them because they were not, basically, they weren't warm-blooded.
Right.
But nowadays, you can have some more interesting uses for them, either as assailants or NPCs or delightful moral quandaries for killing an intelligent creature.
Sure. Also, one of the cool things about them is they respect usefulness.
So if you're useful,
then
you might be honored, prized.
Yeah, or at the very least treated as an equal, which doesn't normally happen with warm-blooded creatures.
Not eaten on sight.
Right.
Always a delightful opportunity.
So let's talk about them statistically.
Okay.
They're semi-aquatic. They can hold their breath.
So they're not amphibious like frogs, and they can breathe. which we should.
Right. They're amphibious like amphibians, not amphibious like amphibious.
We really need to rewrite that one part. That really, I don't know what it is about the amphibious quality that bothers me so much because
It's the incorrect word. That's why.
It really irritates
They're
me.
using a scientific description incorrectly.
Okay.
That's what bothers you about it.
It bothers me. Probably bothers somebody else.
I'm sure.
They have dark vision,
They do.
which Bullywugs, I don't think they have dark vision.
I don't believe so, which is,
Which doesn't make any sense either.
I'm not,
fine.
yeah, we're going to let
It's
that
fine.
go.
We'll let that go. They come in various sizes, which I find very fascinating.
Yes.
So there's pygmies.
Yes. Well, is there still?
There used to be. I don't know if there's any more.
So there used to be. We're
And then-
not sure if there's still.
But like there's the small ones too that were like, what are they, the poison dust tribe or something like that?
Third edition, there used to be lots of types of lizardmen. Now or lizard folk. Now it's just lizard folk as far as I know,
Mhm.
unless they've added more.
They generally are physically powerful and strong.
Yes. They prefer strength in numbers over precise combat, although once they have numbers, they prefer precise combat over just leaping in.
Sure.
Like bullywugs, once they've got enough numbers, they just pile on and hope it works out.
Just kick your teeth in.
Right. Whereas lizard folk will use tactics once they have numbers.
That makes sense. And they're good at survival.
Yes.
Now, this makes them a great guide if
Yeah.
you're lost in the swamp and, need some help getting the paladin out of the muck. He's up to his neck.
Yeah.
He's like just slowly sinking in the quicksand.
Mm.
The rogue's
Swamp
already
of sadness.
Yeah. He's already dragged the rogue down. It's just happening, right? So they can help pull him out. Maybe keep you from getting eaten by the bullywugs, potentially. So those are a couple stats about lizardmen and bullywugs, I should mention.
Yeah.
So I think we should get to the interesting part. But before we get to that,
It's time for some messages?
Yep.
Okay.
If there are any topics you would like us to cover, goods or services you would like us to review, or if you would like to sponsor an episode, we would love for you to contact us at info@goblinscorner.com. See you there.
and we're back.
Welcome back.
All right. So when we last left off, we were talking about just some general stats on bullywugs and lizardmen, or
Right.
lizard folk.
Some general mental attributes and how they're normally depicted.
How they are normally portrayed. Now,
Yes.
we're going to get to some fun stuff now. First off, why are we even talking about bullywugs and lizard folk?
Well, for one, it's the follow-up to our swamps episode.
All right, fair enough. But why are we really talking about these two little used creatures?
They are actually interesting.
They've got a lot of potential, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, not just as like, obviously they're great combat. I mean,
Sure.
you could just throw them at a party. If you've got a hack and slash party, have them come up out of the swamp, start wrecking stuff, and your players will be happy.
Lizardmen, you know what? They would make great alligator barbarians.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
An alligator. I like that.
Aye.
That would be great. Yeah. Good minions for a big bad is another example. Again, playing on the tropes.
It allows you to provide your players with something that has a foreign mentality.
So alien thoughts,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah, I like that. And I consider this to be a fun role-playing opportunity because for your players, if they have alien thoughts, how do your players react?
Sure. Where's the common ground?
How do you find that common ground? Throw the face out there and see what happens. Do you jump in the stew pot and get eaten, or do you make a breakthrough and you become Dr. Livingston?
Kill some bullywugs and give them giant frog legs to eat.
Oh, give the lizard folk the
Yeah.
bullywugs? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
I'm a thinker. Something else that also makes them interesting is that oftentimes they are tied to ancient, dying, or dead civilizations.
So this is a concept of ruins and maybe what's come after. In a sci-fi setting, bullywugs and lizard folk would be great because maybe they are the remnants of a past war.
Could be.
It could be what happened to regular people. Like maybe they mutated.
could also be, depending on how sci-fi, they could be the inhabitants of a swamp planet.
Sure, like Dagobah.
Yeah, they're just people. They are that planet's version of people.
Now they're fun to explore that brutish aspect of the wild.
Sure.
You can explore those what are quote unquote savage encounters.
Yeah.
Or honestly, just monstrous societies. You know, and this is a concept either from a role playing or just a combat perspective. Really, is if there are societies in a D&D game or whatever game you're playing where elves exist and dwarves exist and freaking trees are talking to you.
Yeah.
What's the society like when there's lizard folk and big ass frogs?
Right.
So you can consider stuff like that into your game and see, you know, explore that society role playing.
It's true.
I find that really fascinating because it's like because you're talking about alien thoughts, how are they going to think? What is their society going to be like? What's their crime and punishment? What do they view as valuable? All the stuff that we talked about when we were talking about city building in our episode.
Sure. I think if you need some pointers for, because you mentioned that lizard folk would make great, or both of them would make great role-playing chances. If you need some pointers from a fantasy standpoint on how to perhaps portray that, imagine violent Vulcans.
Yeah.
Because they're very coldly logical creatures, but Vulcans do not tend to lean towards violence as the first answer, whereas lizard people they are coldly logical.
But they like violence.
But violence is...
Yeah, they're down
is
with the violence.
Well, I mean, they're surrounded by a hostile area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their territory is hostile to them.
Sure.
So...
And also, and this is also important, the reason we brought these up, why would you even use these in a setting? They're fun to play.
Yeah.
Not just to play as in an NPC, but they're actually fun to play for player characters.
Sure.
Like, I would totally make a Bullywug character.
Why not?
Or a lizard folk.
And with Tasha, she absolutely
you
can.
can totally can. It's very easy to do so. All right. So we've given you a bunch of the tropes that we've read up on the books, from the massive amount of books that are behind me
there are some books there.
There are a couple. Yeah, there's Savage Species right there.
Yep.
In addition to stuff we've read up online, and you know, we didn't throw all the lore in there. For example, Bullywugs often worship froghemoths, which we neglected to mention.
It's true.
If you guys don't know what a froghemoth is, go Google that. It's awesome.
You should also Google their only deity.
Oh yeah. It's even more of an asshole than the Bullywugs. Yeah. So, but what we want to do is, look, this stuff's pretty one-dimensional. And I feel that we should upgrade your marsh-dwelling monster.
Yes.
So let us upgrade the monsters. And this can be from any edition. We've grabbed a whole bunch of just different ideas, and we're just jamming them together. First off, the easiest thing you could possibly do to upgrade either a Bullywug or a lizard folk.
Don't make them stupid.
Yeah, that's it. Just don't make them stupid, guys.
And you can follow that up with, don't make them racist or xenophobic.
Or evil.
Yeah.
Just don't make them mean. Now you have a completely different species.
Yeah. Now you've got literal societies.
Yeah.
Like
just hanging out,
just
doing
people,
frog things.
Doing swamp things.
Yeah, doing swamp things. Just
Aye.
swamp creatures just doing whatever they're doing in the muck. Rolling around, raising kids. Making farming, whatever the hell a frog would farm.
Hunting alligators
and riding them.
Making fancy armor or fancy shoes.
Making human skin boots.
Sure.
Because why would you kill an alligator for boots? You got a human walking around. I mean, the paladin's just there.
It's true, but
he's already up to his nose.
Alligator leather is actually useful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Human leather, less so.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah. So don't make them stupid. Don't make them...
No, you can make a poncho out of human leather.
Ah, there we go. Poncho. Human poncho. And a handbag. So don't make them stupid. Don't make them racist or xenophobic. Don't make them evil. There.
Yeah.
Now they're not enemies, potentially. They could be. Now they have depth.
Yes.
Give them depth, what we're trying to say.
And once you give them depth, you go to our next step, which is try giving their society some complexity. Try making them more advanced than elves, or like, what if they're the oldest races?
Sure. Maybe you roll up in the swamp. Again, the paladin's stuck. The horse has already been eaten by an alligator.
You're bound and determined to kill this paladin, aren't you?
That damn paladin. Wear your armor in the swamp. What is wrong with you? And he's sinking, and all of a sudden, a magical tensor's floating disc the size you've never seen reaches and scoops up the paladin, deposits him in another swamp area where he slowly starts to sink again. And out of a teleportation gate, this fully robed and armored and just glistening lizard folk creature comes and says, welcome. It says it in your minds because it's that badass.
Sure.
It's got a iron stone flying around stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they've lived there for 20,000 years. Their civilization's already been to all the planets. And
You don't realize it, but they are the patron to your warlock.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
They're just badass. And think of the Bullywugs.
Yeah.
That would be cool, right? Maybe they created some of the elder races like the aboleth or any of the other amphibian-ish creatures.
Sure.
Any of the other, I can breathe air and water. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's a fun spin, is by making them more advanced than your standard creatures.
Yeah. It's definitely a different angle to take, which people would not expect.
Absolutely. Going on that aquatic adaptation type thing, make the lizardmen aquatic.
Yeah. Give them a faster swim speed, the ability to breathe air and water. That is not what the note says. I just wanted to harass them some more.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, we gotta kind of hit Watsy up and tell him to change that. It bothers me so much.
They will certainly listen to us. We're experts.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, we are.
Hey, we're professional, guys.
Indeed. Okay, so what about chameleon skin?
Chameleon skin would be great. So Bullywugs had that in the first edition. Upgrade your 5th edition or whatever edition you're playing for your
Right.
Bullywugs to have that. Give it to lizard folk too. Why
Because
not?
it's almost like chameleons are lizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes too much sense. Give them a climb speed. They're lizards.
Give them all around vision.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense because their eyes are kind
Independent
of
eyes. Yep.
eyes are sideways. And for that matter, give them to Bullywugs too because they got this big old
Yeah.
bulbous eyes. They should be able to see up.
Yeah.
That's why their eyes are that big. I like the idea of an upgraded bite. So either venom or just bigger teeth,
Sure.
piercing and slashing, rending and tearing type stuff.
For the bullywugs, certainly you could give them swallow whole.
Yeah. Yeah, there goes your gnome. That's what you get for being a gnome illusionist thief.
Yeah, any small creature, the bullywugs ought to just be able to just
Chomp.
Yep.
Just swallow whole.
Delicious.
Yeah. Their little throat
course.
sack is just going back and forth in excitement.
Of course, the downside to that is you've just swallowed a gnome rogue.
Yeah. That's going to be some intestinal trouble.
Yeah, he's going to make it out.
Gnome's got a 6-pack of daggers.
Yeah.
There's at least 5 or 6 alchemist fires in there. You're going to need some Malox with that.
The gnome can now see the things that normally it has to guess where they are.
The gnome's like, please eat me so I can kill you.
Yeah, it's much easier to sneak attack from here.
This is great. Just gonna be Drax the Destroyer from
Guardians 2.
Sure.
Nice. Okay.
You want to make him tougher? Here's an example. Give him regeneration.
Sure. A lot of lizards have it.
They can regrow tails.
Yep.
Make them regrow limbs, or if given to the again, you could give this to the bullywug too, but it seems more fun for giving it to the lizard folk.
You can also just give them tougher skin.
Okay, so
Yeah,
maybe a
natural
higher
armor.
natural armor class, or maybe temporary hit points, or maybe it deflects, I don't know, slashing.
Yeah.
Something like that. Now, these are just some standard examples, but we also have what I like to call, let's upgrade with some mutations.
Yay, mutations.
So when I think of lizard folk, I think of extra arms. So Goro,
Sure.
imagine like the lizard man comes in, he's got an axe, and he's got an axe, and he's got an axe, He's got a net.
Sure.
Tosses the net and he hits you 3 times with each axe.
And
then he bites.
it's a bad day.
It's a badass day. Or extra heads. That'd be fun.
Sure. How many bites do you get?
Look, man, the swamp,
It's
the
a
water's
strange
not
place.
always, it's a strange place. Mystical alchemical runoff from the factories. Those damn gnomes are just dumping all the pollutants into the swamp.
Yeah.
There's bullywugs.
Brightly glowing slime.
Yeah, yeah. There's you got extra eyes or heads for your bullywugs. Extra feet would be great too.
Sure. Imagine that jump.
That'd be a lot. Yeah, so go crazy.
Oh, a bullywug centaur, but the bottom half is still frog.
I like that. I think wings would be great too.
Sure.
It leaps out of the water and just keeps going. It's got a leap and a glide attack.
Yeah. Oh, so like a flying fish wings.
Yeah. Well, imagine the bullywug leaps out of the water and with the last step pushes the paladin under the
Right.
quicksand.
Yeah.
Leaps into the air, starts firing bows.
So it's like a bullywug monk.
Sort of. And then comes down with the dragoon attack.
With a big spear?
The big spear. Yeah, or whatever.
Okay. You mentioned acidic, or you have on your list here, acidic skin.
Yes.
I want to go a slightly different direction.
Okay.
Hallucinogenic skin.
Yes. Which the Grugs have.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
They've got hallucinogenic skin?
One of the subspecies does.
Nice. Yeah. A little poison arrow frog
I
action.
believe. Yeah, I think it's hallucinogenic. I know one of them makes you calm. One of them makes you want to douse yourself in water. Yeah, they're kind of weird. It's just kind of random, but I think one of them's hallucinogenic. One of the like more powerful ones. But there's nothing to say that you can't upgrade your standard of the mill old school bullywug with a little trip and toad action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little hypnotoad.
That's what I was about. Yes, all glory to the hypnotoad. Fiendish influences. How about that? Or draconic influences, for that matter.
I mean, making them part black dragon is,
All good.
I mean, they're right there in the swamp.
Chilling.
And if I were a black dragon, let's say,
Just feeling a little randy,
sure,
and
I'm
you're looking
not-
at the kobolds, and you're like, they're so small.
but lizard folk,
It's lizard folk, though.
let's say I want to ensure that
Cue the 70s porn music.
I take over this whole swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing says I've created my own army like a bunch of half-dragon lizard folk, several of whom are going to turn out to be sorcerers because
Of course.
dragon-blooded is straight up one of the sorcerer lineages.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
With the breath weapon attack
Yeah.
and a whole lot of anger issues.
And if they're half-dragons, wings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
We're going to just wreck this whole place.
Now you've got a campaign on your hands because that black dragon's like, all right, it's time to take over.
I mean, you could literally make that if you're running a shorter campaign, you could make that the whole concept of the campaign. The black dragon is the big evil bad guy with its army of dragon-bred lizard folk.
Just messing stuff up. Let's go back to fiendish influences. Now, I think bullywugs would be great for fiendishness.
Yeah,
I mean, lizard folk would be great too, but bullywugs,
are already mean.
yeah, they're already mean-spirited, they're already pissed off. They're already summoning anyway.
Yeah.
So if they're already doing that, let's just say that at some point in the past they've summoned a fiend, whether it's fiendish or abyssal,
Right.
and now there's been a little bit of,
Yeah.
a little bit of this and that, and you've got some fiendish influence bullywugs that can either spit acid or flames.
Sure.
Maybe they got the bat wings like I was talking about before.
Yeah. Some immunities.
Some kind of halo of fire, perhaps, or acid.
Yeah. They explode in poisonous gas when you kill them.
That would be amazing.
That's what the dretches do.
Do
Dretches
they?
or mains, one or the
I
other.
think the mains do that. I don't remember. We'll have to look that up. Yeah, so think of all of the really fun things that demons and other, Beatazu and stuff like that have, and add them to your Bullywug.
Yeah, flavor them up.
Yeah, and I would say don't just go random on it. Make a table. We should make a table.
We should make.
We're going to make a table for you guys, and it's going to have just some random upgrades for your Bullywug or for your lizard folk.
Yeah, or anybody. Honestly,
Man,
yeah, you could. Fiendish kobolds. Why not?
Fiendish kobolds would be great. Now, another way to upgrade them, and this is one of the more simpler ones, but just give them class levels.
Yes, this is my favorite way to make monsters more interesting.
Because if you play with an experienced set of people,
right,
then you're going to end up having them go, oh, it's just some lizard folk. Don't worry about it. Let's have Krug the Barbarian take them all out. And then you watch Krug as his head gets sliced off because your lizard folk had barbarian levels as well.
It's an alligator barbarian. I've already said this.
Yeah, so look at that alligator barbarian. He just completely destroyed Krug and the paladins underwater, sinking.
Of course he is.
He's still sinking. Where is he? Can't find him. I can see his hat. It's got a plume on it, and the horse is eaten. and finally, you can also, of course,
just give them poison.
Just give them poison. Yeah, make them poisonous, venomous, whatever. Maybe if you eat them, you get poisoned, or poison skin, or if they bite you, they're venomous.
Yeah. Or
they can spit. They can spit venom from their eyes.
Sure.
Like kind of the horned lizard spit blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that. You want to freak a character out, freak your players out, like. All of a sudden, his eyes kind of turn inwards, and they just kind of flick some blood onto your characters, and it happens to be poisonous. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
You want to go for some visceral impact? Yeah. And then you take your drink of Mountain Dew and you toss it in their face,
just to get
the point.
Right.
We like props here at the Goblin's Corner. Okay, we're getting a little punchy here.
A little loopy.
Let's talk about story possibilities.
All right. One of the story possibilities I had was a group of bullywugs has found an ancient powerful relic in the swamp and is wreaking havoc in the general area.
So there's like a wizard tower. They found something and it's just screwing up.
Yeah.
Love it. Always fun. Here's one. A tribe of lizard folk ventures in from the wilderness, eager to trade. Does the party share? What happens if they offend the lizard folk? So there's a good role-playing opportunity, potential combat as well.
Yeah. A rash of thefts has led the players to the forgotten corners of the city's sewer system where bullywug thieves deliver their offerings to a froghemoth.
Ah, yes. All bow to the froghemoth.
I mean, who doesn't love a froghemoth?
Extra credit if you make the froghemoth hallucinogenic as well, because then it becomes the ultimate hypnotoad.
Sure.
A lizard folk cleric of the drowning god is on a holy trek for converts. I can't. I'm laughing even saying it. Yeah, converts in quotes. What a wonderful idea.
Oh, mercy. A bullywug warlock of great power has taken over the local wilderness, and a legion of aquatic horrors besiege the town, nation, or house, depending on
your campaign size. Yeah, I love that. And that's an easy one to do because that's just a bullywug with class levels. So I love that.
Yeah.
Here's one. The players stumble upon, we call it Reptile Wakanda.
Yeah.
And realize the lizard folk had them fooled all along. So going back to what we'd said about maybe make them more powerful than all the other characters.
Yeah.
There's a perfect example. It's been there all along for years, and the players just now stumble upon it. Oh my God, there's an advanced civilization. Welcome to Reptile Wakanda.
Yeah. I mean, they literally just...
It's an enlightened civilization. They've got high magic. Think of it like, if you're going Forgotten Realms, like Nethril, right?
Yep. They use permanent hallucinatory terrain around all of their borders so that people just don't know.
And they got a bunch of bullywugs just kind of scampering around as well to keep all the, interlopers around.
The lizard people could be the people that the bullywugs lost the fight to going back.
Oh, excellent. Good lore there.
Yeah. A local Bullywug tribe has become the plaything of a slod.
You know, I love some slod. And this is an easy way to have patron or something they can pray to, or hey, how about a half slod, half bullywug?
Yes.
Talking about some mutations there.
Indeed.
I mean, you might grow a purple hat or something. I mean, it's anybody's game with the slod.
Yes, it is time for the plaid bullywugs.
Yes. Plaid bullywugs.
Yep.
Why not? Here you go. This is something where it doesn't start in a bar. We're going back to that episode where maybe we just start in a bullywug or lizard folk campaign.
Yeah.
The players wake up. You wake up. You're captured by insert bullywug or lizard folk. You're stuck in a pen. You await the great cooking pot. There's your campaign starter.
Yep.
Now they either got to escape, kill them,
Got a
find
deal.
some way to intimidate or use some kind of diplomacy, get their way out of the cooking pot or the pen or whatnot.
I love starting a campaign in a place of like desperation, and then you can work your way out of it.
And then get to
You
further
pick up your
desperation.
starter. You pick up your starter equipment after you've solved the current predicament.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The party is approached by a Bullywug cleric of Paylor or Lathander or some good god.
Insert
pick one,
whatever stupid god you have,
or anyone, and ask to assist with a quest.
Yeah. So the bullywug stamps in from the swamp, complete in shining armor.
That he got from the dead
He
paladin.
got from of course, he got it from the paladin who had drowned a few weeks earlier. He's gnawing on the leg of horse.
Yeah. That's the good stuff.
That's a great conversation starter right there. So, a couple ideas, story possibilities. Now, Matt, you've got some lore possibilities as well.
Indeed. Just a couple of thoughts. What if bullywugs are responsible for all of the ruins in the swamps? They were once an advanced race of creatures, but they've been cursed by an ancient god.
So they are basically destined to continue to wallow and muck about in the swamps.
Right. But all of the ruins and stuff that you find in swamps that make swamps interesting, and they all used to be from bullywugs.
It's a great idea.
Another one is, what if eating sentient for lizard folk? What if eating sentient folks is a sign of respect? It allows that person to provide for the tribe one last time. It prevents that person from being tainted by necromancy, which we all know tends to run rampant in the swamps.
I mean, and in most fantasy games.
Sure. But that allows them to ensure the proper passage into whatever afterlife that person is supposed to be going to.
Well, you certainly can't raise dead when they're digesting in your stomach.
Exactly. So what if it's actually a sign of respect?
I love you so much that when you die, I'm going to consume
will
your
eat
corpse. I will eat you.
Yes.
I love that. That's what a great weird thing. And it, again, doesn't affect any power dynamics. It's just a fun role-playing opportunity. Now, if you're playing a lizard folk as a player character, you should totally use that, because not only is that awesome to say, but it'll freak the rest of the players out.
Well, not just that, but I'm going to demand as that lizard folk,
If he
that
dies,
if I die, they have to eat
you
me.
must eat me. I don't care how, but you must cook me if you want, or eat me raw. It is a respect thing.
That's right.
That'd
You
be awesome.
You will show me respect.
And then my character would purposely try to die. Just to make him do it. And you got one more, which is also a great one too.
Oh, so bullywugs are also known to worship vile entities. Yeah, Oberith, the demon lord Dagon,
Mhm.
the great old one Ganador.
Of course.
I like Ganador. He doesn't get enough respect.
Yeah, I got Ganador love.
The ancient goddess of darkness Shar.
Sure.
Some believe that if they're violent enough, they'll be reborn as a slod.
Interesting.
So imagine in the way that normal people, if I'm good enough, I'm going to get angel wings and a halo and my own little harp.
If a bullywug's a big enough bastard, it'll turn into a slod when it dies.
Yes.
Sure, that makes sense.
And in fact, I'm even okay with it.
I like that. In fact, that should be lore in somebody's game.
Oh, I mentioned it earlier, but I forgot we had actually made a note of it. There's a god that is specific to Bullywugs,
Okay.
and that's Ramenos, the god of intoxication, rest, and decline.
Okay. So it's your 40-year-old uncle that sleeps on your couch and smokes a lot of weed.
And just drinks to incoherence nightly.
Okay. Cool. As a god form.
But he's not actually going to answer prayers or anything.
Shows up at your house. Hey, man, can I, like, do my laundry?
You got any beer?
You got, can I have a 6-pack? Bums all your cigarettes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Wow, even their god is an asshole. It's terrible.
And as previously mentioned, they are known to worship frog humans as well.
You should. So there you go. Couple lore possibilities, couple story possibilities, and of course some other options to upgrade these delightful creatures for your campaign. Now again, a lot of fantasy stuff we're throwing at you, but you can easily throw Bullywugs and lizard folk into a sci-fi space, easy for space, or any type of futuristic campaign as well. And they're just a lot of fun. I would like to see them in the World of Darkness, personally.
I mean, they kind of.
What is it? What are the
Macaulay?
The Macaulay? Yeah. But they don't have a frog one.
They do not.
And they could.
Sure. Were frogs.
Why not? Did we miss something, or perhaps something that you would like to see us talk about? Write to us. info@goblinscorner.com, or you can reach me, Eric@goblinscorner.com.
Or me, Matt@goblinscorner.com.
We've mentioned before that we're on all the things. We are Goblins Corner on Twitter,
Facebook,
Pinterest,
YouTube,
and Twitch.
We are the Goblins Corner on Instagram.
That's right. Do you like our show? Subscribe to this podcast on your favorite player or YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah. You could, give us 5 stars or shoot us a review, or, we'd like warm and fuzzies, and we'd like feedback in general.
Helps boost the show, gets other people to discover all of the ridiculous things we're saying as well.
And if you're on YouTube, you can do the whole like, subscribe, and click the bell so that you get notifications whenever we upload new content.
Yeah, which we do every week. Yeah. That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll see you again.
In a world where the Goblins Corner is by Matt Staples
and Eric Holden, show song by the mighty D20.
This has been a Subterranean production.
Coming soon.